You'll note that I've got a little plug in here for my MIT colleague Bill Mitchell's new book in collaboration with two co-authors, Larry Burns among them, whom I know Bill knows. And I'll refer back to this. But in a sense, that smart, real-time, dynamic management is, in a sense, the essence of the reinvention of the automobile. So what I want to do today is just sort of quickly, rather impressionistically, though with some data, make 3 points in relation to urban planning and transportation and ultimately sustainable development. And they are, sustainable mobility is first and foremost about smart growth, which I'll very briefly define. Secondly, that smart growth is an enormous value creation opportunity vis-a-vis climate action on the one hand and economic development on the other. And that finally, getting to Gordon's point, that smart growth requires social innovation more than innovations in technology and engineering or design, as important and challenging as those are. So to my first point, Mickey gave us a nice definition of sustainable mobility. I won't repeat it, but let me emphasize, a la Bill Mitchell and dynamism, that sustainable mobility needs to be conceived as part of a larger whole. I like to think of plug-in as the metaphor for the new approach to the way we build, develop, grow our places, our physical places and our social and economic places as well. So think about sustainable mobility as a piece of a more integrated, networked, smart pattern of human settlement, of human development. Think of mobility in the context of an ecosystem of services, of programs in our places that make us more responsive, more dynamic, more equitable, more sustainable, all of those good things. And consider, too, that sustainable mobility as smart growth really considers engineering, design, and technology as really merely pieces, means to the ends of a system, moving from parts and silos, as I like to say, from silos to systems. And that finally, as in a point made by the Cisco CEO John Chambers, begin to think of that network, that whole itself, as a new kind of utility. The whole itself as adding value to people and institutions because of its wholeness, its integration. Okay? Note what Bill Reinert was talking about this morning. I wish we could have sort of built out that Q&A, because much of what Bill had to say toward the end of his responses has directly to do with this question: network, utility, integration. How can Toyota navigate, or any other car or product manufacturer, these new waters where integration, plug-in, is so key, and therefore different characters, different institutions, different actors must be brought together? Who's being trained to weave and broker those relationships? In what business school, law school, planning school? Next, smart growth as value creation opportunity. And this is sort of the nuts and bolts of why and how the network as utility, the integrated smart city, is a very promising, very exciting opportunity, as much as it is a great challenge. Note that cities today house roughly 50% of the world's population, the smart city, sustainable mobility, and are generators of about 80% currently of our carbon dioxide emissions, if that's what we principally care about vis-a-vis climate change. And that very soon, 80% of the world's population will be in these self-same cities. The rest of that data is evident. I want to focus very quickly on the US, why and how it is we need to begin to think differently about our development patterns, about community development, vis-a-vis the average American. We need to recall that in the last 300 years, and the trend seems to be increasing, our land consumption has far outpaced our population growth. And that's a disturbing trend when you think about the limits to growth of our natural resources. Next, note that the trend on the average US commute in miles has increased something like 30% over the last few decades. and a string of other data points. Most relevant here in the context of smart cities, of urban development and urban planning, is the gains one achieves with densification vis-a-vis VMT and emissions or GHG impacts from transportation. So climate action and smart growth go hand in hand. Likewise, the economic development opportunities, the opportunities for value creation as they relate to financial gain and wealth creation. The smart infrastructure business, the business that Toyota is thinking a lot about as it thinks about plug-ins and the various appliances, parts, and infrastructures, is estimated to be a well over $100 billion business just in the next 24 months, and then going forward into the tens of trillions of dollars on a global market scale. So tremendous business opportunity. And look and note that we are seeing companies like Cisco, like IBM, and others who once thought of themselves as in the product or appliance business, now in the services and consulting business. And they are doing this business in places like Dubuque, Iowa, perhaps our first great experiment on the municipal scale of a new smart or sustainable city, Energy City, and forgive the typo, and Masdar City, where my colleagues at MIT, among other institutions, are doing a lot of work to build that first oil-free city in the heart of oil country.